Hey there, trainers. A Pokédad here to go over Urshifu, Rapid-Strike, and Single-Strike in Pokemon GO, the Dynamax forms that are being debuted this week. You've watched it in your loading screen every time you've opened the game this season, and we're finally getting them. They're a little bit difficult to get. I'm going to go through how to get them, why you should get them, if you have both, should you get both, should you just get one, what we're going to do. So let's go over how to evolve each one first. So you're going to take your Kubfu that you caught. You got a Dynamax Kubfu. You got at least one for free unless you bought the Fuzzy Buddy research ticket. Either way, when you take Kubfu, make it your buddy, and to get the Single Strike form, you need to defeat 30 Dark-type Pokemon in raids or max battles with Kubfu as your buddy, and that's going to also cost you 200 Kubfu candy. Now, you could also get the Urshifu Rapid-Strike style form, 200 Kubfu candy as well, but you need to defeat 30 Water-type Pokemon in raids or max battles with Kubfu as your buddy. All right, let's go over Urshifu Rapid-Strike first. So that's going to be a fighting and Water-type Pokemon, okay? It has a max CP of 4,077, attack of 254, a defense of 177, and HP of 225. It is going to be weak to Electric, Fairy, Flying, Grass, and Psychic type. So it does have 5 weaknesses. However, it has 7 resistances of Bug, Dark, Fire, Ice, Rock, Steel, Water. That's crazy. That's a tremendous amount. This could be a fantastic tank due to the amount of resistances. However, it also has those weaknesses. So you just need to know what you're getting into in each battle. Now, the fast attacks, we're going to see Rock Smash, Counter, and Waterfall. So Counter and Waterfall are going to be your best options here, typically not Rock Smash. Counter and Waterfall are 1-second attacks, and having those enabled, if you have Counter on there, you will know Max Knuckle during the max phase, and Waterfall will give you Max Geyser during the max phase. Charge moves are going to be Aqua Jet, Brick Break, Close Combat, Dynamic Punch. We're not as concerned about those during Gigantamax battles. The most important thing to note here is we do have 5 other Water-type Gigantamax Pokemon. We have Blastoise, Kingler, Lapras, Inteleon will be coming eventually. We have the Dynamax, but we'll get G-Max form as well. And eventually we will see the release of Dreadnought. So he has a lot of competition when it comes to Water-type moves, okay, and Water-type G-Max forms. And then let's switch over and go ahead to the Single Strike form, which is Fighting and Dark type. Same stats as the Rapid Strike, 4,077 CP, 254 attack, 177 defense, 225 HP. What you're going to see here, though, is it is double weak to Fairy. Huge weakness to Fairy. And it's also weak to Fighting and Flying. But it does resist Ghost, Psychic, Rock, and double resists Dark. So very niche, but that Fairy weakness is a, I don't know. I wouldn't say that it's a huge weakness, only because there's not that many Fairy-type Pokemon in general, let alone in G-Max form. There's, I think, 3 Fairy G-Maxes that you'd have to worry about. But it does get 3 fast attacks like the other one. Sucker Punch, Rock Smash, Counter. Again, no Rock Smash. Don't use that. You'd either use Counter or you'd use Sucker Punch. The critical thing here is Sucker Punch is a half-second attack, okay? And it is Dark-type as well. So you can know Max Knuckle if it knows Counter. It can also know Max Darkness in its Dynamax form if it knows Sucker Punch. Charge moves are going to be Brick Break, Close Combat, Dynamic Punch, and Payback. Again, we're not as concerned about that. The most important thing to note here is we only get one other Dark-type Gigantamax Pokemon later on in the game. And it hasn't even been introduced even in the slightest in the game yet. The Impidip, Morgrem, and Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl gets a Gigantamax form, and it's Dark and Fairy type. It's definitely going to top it in terms of Dark type, but for now, with the Dynamax form, this Dark type is going to be the best. Is the best that you can possibly get. It's really kind of one of the only ones you can get other than, say, Sableye and some other Dynamax Pokemon we'll see later on. So that half-second attack time, though, is really what is critical on this Pokemon for filling up that max meter. Now, how do both of these stack up against in the fighting realm of things? Okay, so again, their Gigantamax forms are going to be better, but neither one is as good as Gigantamax Machamp in terms of fighting. And especially in the Dynamax form right here, they get Max Knuckle, which has a base power of 250. And then you can level it up 2 more times, I believe. Then it goes to 300 and then 350. So again, a level 3 max knuckle on Urshifu is going to be doing base damage, a level 1 attack, G-Max Cheese Strike from Gigantamax Machamp. So you're definitely better off if you're able to get Gigantamax Machamp. He's going to be better in terms of fighting. And if you don't know, both of these do get Gigantamax forms as well. In the main series games and the Sword and Shield games, I believe it came in a DLC. What you do is you get your Kubfu. It then goes into a Dynamax Urshifu. You then have to make some magical, mystical max soup from the max mushrooms. And then you feed this max soup to your buddy, and then it becomes Gigantamax. Could we see something like that in the future in Pokemon Go? I believe we really could. I don't think they're going to be, towards the end of the year, releasing Gigantamax forms of these 2 Pokemon. There's so many more that they could get into. I think we're going to be locked into these Dynamax forms for a while, unless they start introducing this Max Soup, which again, I see as more of a long-term goal in terms of these max battles and things. So I do think it's worth evolving your Kubfu. Kubfu by itself really isn't fantastic, whereas both of these evolved forms have much better usefulness and will be great to add into your roster for your Dynamax battles. So in terms of max battles, these both have their usefulness, okay? The Rapid Strike form has a wider variance of things that it is resisting, so it could be a fantastic tank. I just wish it had a half-second attack. It only has 1-second attacks. However, it has a lot of competition in water, so you're going to use it more as a fighting type than water type, but it still could be a great tank, and it's a pretty decent healer as well. It's not on par with Snorlax and Blissey, of course, but in terms of a Dynamax Pokemon, it's actually still pretty good there. Now, the Rapid Strike, again, super weakness to Fairy. It shouldn't be that much of an issue. The fighting and flying obviously is a little bit of an issue, but it does have some good resistances, but most importantly, it has that half-second attack, and it is doing max darkness, which we're really only seeing in Dynamax Blastoise currently, is, I would say, the top dark type attacker that we have. Other than that, we have Sableye, we have Greedent. There's not many. Right now, Dynamax Blastoise is your best, so this is definitely going to be the top Dynamax dark type that we're going to have for max battles. Now let's jump into PvP side of things a little bit here. So we have the Great League. These are just estimates. We don't really know because they could change up the moves, things like that. But currently in Great League, the Single Strike is sitting at 173 and the Rapid Strike is sitting at 588. Obviously the Single Strike doing much better there, but neither one of them is really fantastic. Ultra League, again, Single Strike 148. Rapid Strike 347, so it is climbing up. But the Master League is where we see the Single Strike is getting the number 8 slot currently, and the Rapid Strike is getting the 63rd slot. Now, I'm not a big PvP guy myself. However, again, this is where I go into, if I had one, which I do only have one because I'm not paying $8 for another Kubfu. That just seems crazy to me. But it's definitely, these are both going to be great. And if I had the money and was able to buy it for my entire Pokefam, I totally would. But doing it 5 times just seems a little overkill. I would definitely get both if you can and if you got that research. But if you could get one, I would focus on that Single Strike. It's ranking higher in PvP. It has a much better niche in terms of Dynamax with that dark type advantage. Again, the water type is going to be a great tank, but the Single Strike would be a better attacker, in my opinion. So that's what I would be looking for. So I hope that helps clear up a few things about these 2 Dynamax powerhouses. Unfortunately, I didn't play this main series game. Ironically, my son is playing it right now, so he'll probably be the expert before I will be, so I do apologize. If you have any questions or anything, leave it in the comments down below. I'll try to answer what I can, but again, I am no expert here. But I'm just trying to give you a little bit more insight so you get a little bit better prepared for what you should do for yourself in your own personal experience. Because again, please always remember, don't give into this FOMO on spending all this money, getting all the things, trying to keep up with these crazy content creators, okay? Just get out there and enjoy the game by yourself or with your Pokefam and friends. If you like content like this, if you like seeing a little bit more insights into these Gigantamax battles and these weekly videos, I have those every single week. So go ahead and hit that bell, get notified, subscribe, all that good stuff you hear all these people ramble on about. Just do it, okay? All right, I'll catch you next time.